Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to give you a quick review and recap of The Sinner season 4 episode 1, and it's called part 1. Now this is about Harry Ambrose, who is played by Bill Pullman. He is in retirement. Okay, he worked as a detective for 40 years, and he said, look, I'm done. I'm burnt out. Because he is burnt out. I mean, this detective had been beaten, shot at, and buried alive in all of the last seasons. Last season, he killed a sociopath, Jamie Burns, okay? So, Harry was going through a lot, with that case, and it led to his retirement. So, now that him and his girlfriend, Sonya, they have a romance, they go on a vacation. And I think it's Hanover Island is in Maine, like at a fish town. So they go there and they they meet up with Greta, who she describes herself as a broke lesbian painter. And she's Sonya's friend. Now she sets them up in a quaint cottage by the water. Sonya suggests the sound of waves will help Harry with his insomnia, and another sign, that he's not right in the head, because he's probably still thinking about what happened from last season, from his last job before he retired. Now, at lunch, Ambrose, who was Harry, and Sonya awkwardly answer Greta's questions about Harry's retirement and how they're holding up after Burns' ordeal, Jamie Burns. Harry excuses himself because I guess he didn't want to talk about that. So he excuses himself, and he didn't even eat his food. He left it behind and goes for a stroll. And as he's going for a stroll, he ended up by the shore, like by this water, and that's where he meets Percy Muldoon. Okay, and she's a girl fisherman who works for her family's company. She kind of, alludes to her connection with Mother Nature and mentions the oceans in a mood today. I guess the ocean was like kind of, rough, and she said it was in a mood today. So later on that night, Harry, told, he told Sonya he was taking antidepressants, and he's intentionally and secretly left the pills behind, So I guess he was taking something to help him with his insomnia and other things, and he left those pills behind. And that kind of like didn't sit too well with Sonya. So he's supposed to be sleeping, but guess what? He can't sleep. He gets up and he goes out for a walk. Okay. So he's going out for a walk. And while he's going out for a walk, he's having flashbacks of, the night that he shot Jamie. And then he hears someone screaming. And the person says, "Leave me alone. Stop it." And the person that he sees is Percy. So as she's walking, he's hurrying up to go see who she was talking to, and didn't see anybody. So he started following her into the woods. Hearing like cries and all kinds of stuff. But then he spots Percy on the edge of the cliff. Now she's like looking over her shoulder kind of mysteriously, but not in Harry's direction. It's like she's looking over her shoulder at something else. So Harry is looking, and I wish he would have screamed out for her, because maybe she would have saw him and not did it, but he didn't scream out for her, and then she just calmly steps off the bluff. Now, the bluff is very high. If you look down, you're going to see rocks and you're going to see the water. But when he says no and he runs after her, he don't see anything. So the police arrive. Okay, the police arrive, And it's led by Lou Raskin. Okay. This guy, he act like he doesn't have a clue about anything. And he's a police chief. Okay. He's the police officer. So, well, no, he's a police chief. But he's just so clueless. So they're looking and they can't find the body. So he questions, if Harry's been drinking or has he been using drugs. And then here come Muldoon, the matriarch, who is Percy's grandmother. Her name is Meg. And she's upset, rude, and she dismisses Harry's claims altogether. Now, Perry's uncle, Colin, is also there, and he's also not happy. He asks Harry, as if he was accusing him, how he knows Percy and why he was following her, all kinds of stuff. So, Raskin tries to calm down the Muldoon family, but, Meg continues to talk down to Harry, which later on, she's going to be asking for his help. But anyway, the next morning, Harry recounts the previous night's events to Sonya. He's doubting himself, wondering if his eyes had deceived him. He puts a call into Raskin, who informs him Percy was seen driving her car 30 minutes after Harry saw her fall or jump off the cliff. Now, how is that even possible? But anyway, Harry returns to the scene, steps on the exact spot where Percy had been, and then looks, over his shoulder, just like how she did, just to see what was behind her. And this leads to him finding a small patch of dirt with little odds and ends on trinkets, and including a crucifix and a small piece of rope knotted into a design. Right? So he brings them to the police, the items to the police chief, who doesn't have the slightest idea what the heck to do with any of it and what's going on and what does it mean. So Harry suggests running fingerprints, to start. Raskin did a background check on Harry, and he's quite impressed by Harry's, track record and stuff of his years of being, his career of being in the police force, detective, and all of that. So Harry leaves, and somewhat reluctantly, as it's clear he'd rather work the case than go see the tourist sites Raskin's recommended. He's not there to be a tourist anymore. He's there because now he feels like he's connected to Percy, because they did have a conversation. Okay, he was the last person. Well, he wasn't the last person to talk to her, but they had a conversation. And so he saw her run off into the woods, into the night, and then jump off the bluff. But then someone say, hey, we saw her, driving 30 minutes before all of that. How can that be? No, after. But how can that be when she jumped off the bluff? Anyway, so Harry goes with his gut, heads to Muldoon Fish Co. and finds Percy's father while questioning him about his daughter's activities. And here comes Meg. She quickly sends Harry on his way before starting an argument with the man outside. Now, she's over there at the other guy telling him, hey, you can't do this here, all this other kind of stuff. So a nearby fisherman informs Harry the target of Meg's F-bombs is Mike Lamb, okay? One half of a married Asian couple that runs a rival fishing operation. The fisherman also tells Harry he saw Percy at the local watering hole, the Knots, before she disappeared. Harry heads to the pub, where the bartender tells him Percy's exactly like her grandmother, a boss. And she doesn't take any smack. Okay. So he started questioning some of the patrons, and Harry learns that Percy was in great spirits that night, even performing a song with a friend on stage. Now, this is recounted in a brief flashback, which also shows Percy exiting the restroom with blood dripping down from her face, from her head. When her friend asks her about it, she dismisses the wound, claiming she injured herself on the paper towel dispenser, which we know that's not true. So, Harry's insomnia sends him outside to repair a broken gas grill. While he's trying to do that, he hears an odd series of cries and grunts in the distance, right? So he goes out there to see what was going on. And I was trying to he saw 3 people and they were naked and they was making all these weird noises and grunts and all kinds of stuff. But I think that was Meg out there doing some type of ritual. I'm not sure, but I think it was Meg out there with the other two people. But anyway, the next morning he meets Ranskin, who's nervous about screwing up, the case, and he's found Percy's car still in the ignition and doesn't want to upset, the Muldoon family. So Harry and Lou question a nearby resident in an RV, sporting a neck tattoo and plenty of attitude. You know how they always got to make people seem like they're a bad boy because they got tattoos and stuff like that. But anyway, the guy offers no help before slamming the doors in their face. So, over breakfast, Harry and Sonya discuss the pros and cons of him helping with the case. Now, he's already deeply invested into this case, and Sonya is cautiously supportive. As they was having a meal, Ranskin calls, and that cuts their meal time short. So the chief and Ambrose head to the Muldoon residence, which is a huge house, and it looked like there's about 40 people living there. Okay. As Meg's apparently now very keen on having Harry to help find her granddaughter. Before she was giving him attitude, but now she needs his help. So they go up. She said, "Can I show you her room?" They go up to the room and everything like that. And, she gives him a book that Percy was reading. Oh, excuse me. 3 days in, she has a change of heart. Okay, Percy is still missing. Lou doesn't know nothing about, he can't tell about nothing. So it's good that Harry is assisting him, because maybe Harry assisting Lou Ranskin would help him become a better chief. Okay, and I know this is a small fishing town, but come on. He needs help. Okay, so, anyway, so I guess Harry and Lou are going to be working on this case together, which Lou needs the help. All right, so, after apologizing and pleading for his help, Meg offers some backstory on Percy. Well, it turns out that her mom abandoned her at a young age, so Meg raised her as her own. Despite them, being close, Meg feels Percy was hiding something from her. Now, she's been keeping late hours, reading a book called The Lunar Goddess and collecting weird trinkets, including one that looks like a similar rope to Harry found at the scene. Now this goes back as a flashback of Meg and Percy sharing a tender moment. The former tosses out some fishing rope, but Percy cuts it, and cuts it and puts it in her pocket. Right? Okay. Harry heads back to the spot he first met Percy on Pier 2. He finds a discarded pack of what appears to be nicotine gum and notices a nearby security camera. He tracks down the footage, which includes a creepy clip of Percy assuming a kneeling, worshiping position in front of a hooded figure. Scared, she slowly backs away from the mysterious person before taking off. Harry is convinced that someone has a hold on her, and that same someone was at the bluff the night she disappeared. And I do agree with that. Another sleepless night finds Harry tinkering with the gas grill and again hearing bizarre sounds from the woods. This time, okay, so I went a little bit ahead of y'all a couple of sentences back. But now he goes out there and he looks around and, he's listening to all the chants and the cries until he comes across a group of nude women performing some sort of ritual beneath the night sky. Ambrose, he keeps watching from a distance until one of them suddenly glances his direction because he stepped on a twig. It's difficult to make her out in the darkness, but she looks like Meg, and I think it is Meg, but she got her hair down and making worshiping gestures towards the stars. So I think this family is into something a little bit more than what they're saying. Distressed and sleepy, Harry returns to his cottage. He sits on the couch and he hears a female's voice. Whatever you think it is, you're probably wrong. Harry agrees. I know. I could be anywhere. The voice continues. With Harry's fragile psyche apparently playing tricks on him, the camera turns around and is turned around to Percy, who is sitting across from him. She concludes their haunting exchange with, "Please find me." This is, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be one of the creepiest and mysterious seasons. I can just see it now. But the first episode is really good. I enjoyed it. It really pulls you in. I'm going to say it's starting to look like season 4 is my favorite season. But we'll see about that. We'll see about that next week. If you watch this show, please let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about this show, especially about this episode. If you would like to watch The Sinner, you can watch it on the USA Network. It's really good. Check it out. I think Netflix has the older series on there, so you can go check those out as well. Each series has a different story. So now we are dealing with, this is season 4, and we're dealing with Percy Muldoon. Okay, the disappearance of Percy Muldoon. Sorry, I'm tired. But anyway, you guys, I will talk to you later, and you guys have a great night.